Hello students, welcome to SR Concepts. I am Ravi Verma, and in this video we will start the chapter number 4 of chemistry, that is the structure of atom, part 1. Dear students, first of all, what we have learned so far in our chemistry subject, we have learned different properties of matter. We know the different states of matter, their interconversions, and we know about the pure and impure matter. We have also learned that the existence of different kinds of matter is due to different atoms constituting them. So there is a question, what is the basic difference between the atoms of one element and the atom of another element? So what is the question, what makes the atom of one element different from the atom of another element? For example, what is the difference in the structure of hydrogen atom and the structure of chlorine atom? This is the question. In the same way, there is another important question, are atoms really indivisible as told by Dalton, or they are again made up of smaller particles, or we can break an atom into smaller particles? This is another question. Next students, we get an idea that the atom is actually divisible by looking at or thinking about the static electricity or conduction of electricity through a conductor. Means when we are switching on a bulb, what happens, that electric current flows through a conductor, and the electric current is actually the flow of electric charge, So why the charge is flowing through the matter? Because the matter has certain charged particles. Students, let's think about these simple activities which we have actually performed in class 8th also. For example, we are combing our dry hair, then the comb starts attracting small pieces of paper. In the same way, when a rod of glass, a glass rod is rubbed with a silk cloth, and then we bring the rod near an inflated balloon, the rod starts attracting the balloon. Why does this happen? Because charge gets developed on the glass rod when it is rubbed with the silk cloth. Where does this charge come from? This charge comes from the charged particles which are present in the atoms of the matter. So we can say that atom has certain smaller particles which have charge in them, So from this we get an idea that the atom is further divisible. It can be broken down into smaller particles. So dear students, later 3 subatomic particles, or the particles which make an atom, were discovered, and these subatomic particles are called electrons, protons and neutrons. So let's discuss about the discovery of electron. So discovery of electron was done with the discovery of cathode rays. Dear students, what are cathode rays? Let's understand this by the help of this diagram. In a glass discharge tube, this is a glass tube, right? A gas was taken at very low pressure, right? And there were 2 electrodes, one was cathode and the other was anode, fixed in the glass tube. These 2 electrodes were connected to a source of high voltage. So we can say that high voltage was applied on these electrodes, so that the voltage worked on the gas present inside the glass discharge tube. So when the high voltage were applied, what happened, that it was observed that certain rays were originated from the cathode and moving towards the anode. When they strike on the glass behind the anode, they produced a green glow. These rays which originated at the cathode were called cathode rays. Later, J.J. Thomson studied the properties of cathode rays and concluded that the cathode rays were made up of very small negatively charged particles known as electrons. Right? Which particles? The particles which were discovered to be present in the cathode rays were said to be electrons. So we can say that J.J. Thomson actually studied the properties of cathode rays, right? And he said that cathode rays were the beams of negatively charged particles known as electrons. How did he say this? He actually concluded that the particles which make up the cathode rays are negatively charged by seeing that these cathode rays get attracted towards a positively charged object. So what is written here, let's read. In 1897, J.J. Thomson concluded that the cathode rays are made up of negatively charged particles because the rays got bent towards the positively charged electrode when an electric field is applied to them. So the particles which make up the cathode rays were said to be electrons. These particles were negatively charged, and it was also discovered that these particles were present in all the substances, because whenever any metal was taken as a cathode, the rays were originated, or any gas was taken in the glass discharge tube, the rays were originated. Dear students, it is said that the cathode rays were discovered by Julius Plucker and John Wilhelm Wittorf, and the properties of cathode rays were discussed, or actually discovered, we can say, by J.J. Thomson. Now let's understand about the properties of electrons. Dear students, the mass of an electron is actually very much smaller as compared to the mass of a hydrogen atom. So the electron is a subatomic particle having a mass equal to 1 by 1840th times of that of smaller of that of a hydrogen atom, and carrying 1 unit negative charge. So we can say that electron is such a small particle and it has only 1 unit negative charge. It is found that the atom is present in all the electron is present in the atoms of all elements. The absolute mass of an electron is 9.1 into 10 to the power 31 kilogram, which is very small, so it is assumed to be negligible. Now, the amount of charge, that is called absolute charge, present on an electron is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Coulomb is a unit of absolute charge, which is the smallest amount of charge carried by a particle. So this is taken as 1 unit of negative charge. So dear students, this much amount of charge, that is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb, this much amount of charge is actually the smallest amount of charge found on any particle in the universe, we can say on our earth. So that's why this amount of charge is taken as 1 unit charge, 1 unit charge. So we can say that the electron has only 1 unit of negative charge. Now let's discuss about the discovery of proton. Dear students, the discovery of protons was done after the discovery of anode rays, and the discovery of anode rays was done by Eugen Goldstein. So the discovery of anode rays given an idea of existence of a positively charged particle in the atom that was called proton. So how were anode rays discovered? Let's discuss about this. Eugen Goldstein performed a glass discharge experiment, right? A discharge tube experiment, right? In which he had taken a cathode which was perforated, means which had multiple pores in it. So when he took a perforated cathode like this, he observed that certain rays were originated at the anode, then passing through the pores or canals of the cathode, and then producing a glow on the opposite end of the glass tube. These rays, which were originated from the anode, were called anode rays, and later it was discovered that anode rays were made up of positively charged particles. However, the size of positively charged particles varied according to the nature of the gas taken inside the glass tube. Later, the smallest type of positively charged particles which were discovered from anode rays were said to be protons. Right. So, dear students, we can say that anode rays, that anode rays were discovered in 1886 by Eugene Goldstein, and the discovery of anode rays given an indication regarding the discovery of proton, which is actually a positively charged subatomic particle. So obviously the presence of negatively charged electrons in an atom suggested that there must be some positively charged particle to balance the charge and make the atom electrically neutral as a whole. So this is how the discovery of protons was influenced by the discovery of anode rays. Okay, now let's discuss about the properties of protons. Dear students, a proton is a subatomic particle having mass equal to that of hydrogen atom. So as we can see that the electron was much smaller as compared to the hydrogen atom, while the mass of proton is almost equal to the mass of hydrogen atom. And you know that mass of hydrogen atom is 1 AMU, which is also called unified mass. So we can say that the mass of proton is almost equal to the mass of hydrogen atom. We can say that the proton has 1 unit mass. What we can say, that proton has 1 unit or 1 unified mass. Also, the proton carries 1 unit positive charge. That means the absolute positive charge on the proton is 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. So as you can see that the amount of absolute charge present on electron is equal to the charge present on the proton. So we can say the amount of charge is equal on electron and proton, but their signs are different. Means electron has the same amount of negative charge while proton has the same amount of positive charge. So we can say that the protons have 1 unit positive charge, which is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Now the absolute mass of a proton is actually 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilogram, and this is equal to 1 mu or unified mass. Dear students, now let's discuss about the discovery of neutron. Discovery of neutron was done by James Chadwick in 1932 when he bombarded beryllium with alpha rays. Right, what happened that the beryllium converted into carbon and beams of certain neutral particles originated, which are called neutrons. So these emitted particles carried no electric charges. This is why they were called neutrons, because they were neutral, and they are indicated or denoted by this symbol. The superscript 1 represents that its mass is 1 unit, right, and subscript 0 represents that its electric charge is 0. So we can say the mass of neutron and the mass of proton is almost equal. Both have 1 unit mass. So proton and neutron both have 1 unit mass, while the electron have negligible mass. Now this particle was not found to be deflected by any magnetic or electric field. These are the properties of neutrons. What are the properties? That the particle did not deflect towards magnetic or electric field, proving that it is neutral in nature, or it is electrically neutral. Now the absolute mass of the neutron, which is almost equal to the mass of proton, is 1.67 and 10 to the power minus 27. This should be minus 27. This mistakenly has been mistyped, right? So this should be 10 to the power minus 27, right? So how much is the absolute mass of neutron? It is 1.676 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilogram. This should be kilogram, right? So dear students, as you know, this is also equal to 1 AMU, so we can say that the mass of neutron is 1 AMU. So please correct this one. This has been mistyped. This is 1.67 into 10 to the power minus 27 kilograms. Okay, so the video has been too long. In the next video we will discuss about the different models of atoms given by different scientists to explain the structure of atom. Thank you.